Wake Up Dead Man was written and directed by Rian Johnson and is the newest film in his Knives Out series, following Knives Out, Glass Onion, and now Wake Up Dead Man. We follow once again Benoit Blanc having to solve another murder mystery, this time the murder of a priest, and he ends up having to team up with a younger, more inexperienced priest to solve this mystery. I'm a big fan of this series. I've really enjoyed both of the previous two films, but that first one especially, Knives Out, that's a special movie to me. I find it very comforting to watch, especially at this time of year as we're approaching winter. And I also just have a funny memory associated with it as well. Rise of Skywalker had just come out, and I had already seen it and didn't like it at all. I never liked that from the first time I watched it. And I had some family members that were in town that hadn't seen it and wanted to see it. And they went with some of my other folks who had seen it. But I was like, no, I think I'll just go see Knives Out instead, because I hadn't seen that yet. So they went to see Star Wars. I went to one of the screens nearby to watch Knives Out, and I loved it. And I still love it now. I've seen it several times, and I think it's great. Still to this day, I gotta pat myself on the back for making that decision. But I really like what Johnson has done with this franchise, and this particular installment, I think, is really good when it is focusing on that murder mystery, and especially when Blanc gets involved, who's once again portrayed wonderfully by Daniel Craig. He is so good as that character. These movies will still probably be fine without him, with another actor maybe playing that role, but it's not the same without him. You know, he really elevates them to another level, in my opinion. And I'll give props as well to Josh O'Connor here, who's basically the main character as well, playing this younger priest who has this established backstory early on in the film of having a violent past, and he's a character that I was constantly tussling with whether I should like him or not, at times feeling like I shouldn't, but I still did, and I still felt a lot of sympathy for his character, and I think a lot of that is just a testament to O'Connor's performance. But going back to that murder mystery part of the story, the whodunit aspect, I really thought it was done very well here, and it's interesting because once the murder takes place, it's like I was thinking, did anyone kill him? I was having this sort of tunnel vision early on, trying to think about who could have committed this murder. And overall, the story did just do a good job of having it be unpredictable and going in directions that you're not expecting. What I didn't like was a lot of other stuff that is involved in the story that I feel like, looking back, just really wasn't that relevant to the murder that was at focus in the story. There are a lot of characters in this one, just like with the other two. It's a big ensemble cast, and they try to have them all be slightly involved in the murder, each in their own way. And it just didn't feel necessary to me. I felt like it was too much going on for too simple of an event that happened. And then there would be times where they were setting up something, like with Kaylee Spaney's character, for example, who is sort of disabled, and they set up a bit of involvement with her and the character that's murdered, but then that doesn't really go anywhere. And I mentioned this in some of my other movie reviews, so it shouldn't come as a shock to anyone who's seen some of those, but when jokes are made or attempts at comedy are made to cut the tension or to cut the dramaturgy, and I just don't like that at all. It really upsets me, actually. There were moments when I was at the theater watching this when everyone else was laughing. It was a really full theater, and people were like laughing their asses off in certain scenes. And there were some funny moments, but there were other times when I was so involved in the story and the drama that was at play, and then something funny happens, and just, for me, just kind of ruined it. And I just sat there like, are you serious? Why did you have to do that? I know. It's upsetting for me just because I think about how good this movie could have been if it did just commit to more of a serious approach to its storytelling, or if it condensed the story down to the murder at play, because that's all that we really care about. I mean, right? We all just want to know who did it. But you know what? I don't want it to come off like I'm hating on this movie. There were things I didn't like about it. I do think it could have been better, and I do think that it is the worst of the three Knives Out films. but there was a lot to like as well. The church that this movie mostly takes place in, I thought it was a great setting for everything that was going on, and there's this sort of claustrophobia, both physically with it taking place in this one setting for a lot of it, but then also sort of metaphoric claustrophobia with some of the characters and their struggles with their faith and with finding their religious beliefs. I just wish the script wasn't so convoluted at moments, but overall I thought that this was a really solid third installment in the Knives Out series, and I would give Wake Up Dead Man an 8 out of 10. If you've seen Wake Up Dead Man, let me know what you think about it. How do you think it compares to Knives Out and Glass Onion? This is in theaters right now for a limited release. It will be on Netflix on December 12th. I wouldn't recommend, though, going to the theater to see it. I always try to take advantage of these limited theatrical releases when they're in theaters for maybe just a couple weeks and then they're only on streaming. And I want to encourage you all to go see these movies as well while they're in theaters, because even though I am a theater guy and I wish that more of these movies would just be staying in theaters and not going to streaming, I feel like this is sort of a nice compromise instead of it just going straight to streaming and not having any sort of theatrical release at all. I think it's some hybridity that the film industry is practicing right now, and I don't mind it. It's kind of cool, and it's better also than it just being like one weekend. It's a couple weeks, maybe a few weeks, then it's on streaming. So okay, at least they give us more time to catch on the big screen. So I recommend that you do if you are a theater guy like me. But that's all I got. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace out.